Welcome to aPOKrypha. Many years ago, I found some texts called the Weird Archives that were written by someone named Pissed Off Kid. I have been looking for him ever since. It's been a long and lonely search. I need your help. So let me tell you stories of Weird and Planet E, of probability and sovereignty. And if any of the things I share you have seen, heard, or read anywhere, then please let me know that in this search, I'm not alone. Hi everyone, my name is Research and I'm the archivist. If you haven't watched episode 0, I would urge you to go and watch it before watching this one. It's kind of essential. There's some pretty important pieces of information in there that will give you context. It's up to you. This is technically the first episode, so I think we should begin this whole thing with rage. It sits at the core of Pissed Off Kid. It is his heart. You should look at rage as a medical condition. It definitely isn't one, but it might make things easier if you look at it that way. Think of rage as a chronic behavioral or neurodevelopmental disorder. Like many conditions of that type, it requires something to trigger it. There's a long list of stressors, things that can potentially initiate a rage episode, also known as a hiss. Badly mixed music, extended whispering, the color amaranth, sunflowers. These are just a few examples of triggers, and yes, each one seems more random than the next one. But believe me, if you had spent the past decade and a half studying the Weird Archives like I have, then you'd know that random is not an appropriate word to describe Pissed Off Kid. Or anything ever, for that matter. The first symptom of a hiss has to do with the eyes, so I'll have to talk some POK morphology first. You see, Pissed Off Kid has black eyes. What I mean is that he's got white eyeballs with black at the center, right? Now this can mean three things. Number one, POK has black irises, which is kind of cool. Number two, POK has only pupils and no irises, which is interesting. Or number three, POK has black irises and no pupils, which is, well, stupid. POK's eyes have been a subject of great interest to me for a while now, and I'm pretty close to finding out the truth. Option number 4, if you will. I have found mentions of his eyes being boundaries, and how it is advised to never stand too close to them, for fear of falling in. I need more data. I shouldn't say more. One day I'll be able to give you the explanation you deserve. I hope you can respect my decision. So yeah, the first sign of a hiss has to do with the eyes. What happens is that POK's pupils, or whatever, they start expanding. They get bigger and bigger in size until both eyeballs are completely black. Next up, from the center of his chest, POK's body starts heating up. Within a few seconds, it reaches an extreme temperature, allegedly way higher than what our bodies can tolerate, enough to even cause light burns to anyone who comes in contact with his skin. The third symptom is war paint, otherwise known as black spirals or glyphs. War paint is a hyper-black substance that appears on POK's epidermis during a hiss. It manifests mostly on the arms and the torso, and rarely on the neck and the face. It takes spiral-like shapes and moves around the body, kind of like bruises with a mind of their own. War paint is tremendously cold, and its purpose seems to be immunological. It focuses its attention to the parts of POK that are getting the most heat. It's basically a cooling system, preventing Pissed Off Kid from either melting down or exploding. Just like with the eyes, there's a lot that I still don't know about war paint. But I can say with certainty that the two are related. They're basically the same thing. An inner force that surfaces, rigid and cold. it blooms from the place that the heart would be. The mental effects of a hiss are another story altogether. An impulse takes over. An impulse to shame, expose, and offend as directly as possible. Rage sends POK in an aggravated state, in which he compulsively launches psychological attacks on both sentients and non-sentients in his vicinity. Whether he knows you or not doesn't matter. He will find your weak spots, and he will let you know of your inadequacies. He will do that in the worst way possible, pulling no punches, an experience customized specifically to your disliking. I've never found any testimonies of individuals that have been hissed at, but I feel it's safe to say that being on the receiving end of such an attack is not pleasant. I've only found a quote by one John Megaton, ex-tech engineer and POK's closest friend, who was unlucky enough to find himself in such a position, more than once. He describes the incident as probably the worst thing one could hear about themselves. Yet strangely enough, he remained POK's best friend. It's worth noting that during a rage episode, Pissed Off Kid does not need to know the target personally in order to effectively strike. He is somehow able to look at individuals that he has never met before and identify faults and shortcomings very quickly. How that works is another unknown, but I have a theory. You see, even though his name might suggest otherwise, Pissed Off Kid is not angry all the time. He can get angry and irritated from time to time, just like everyone else, but generally speaking, he's a chill guy. Not only that, but I can actually confirm after reading him for so long that he's pretty empathic and intuitive. When he wants to, he's able to perceive things that you and I couldn't, at least not as quickly as he does. I'm saying all this in order to tie it all to rage, which is very different from just regular anger. Because I believe that when rage comes, the gift of empathy turns into antipathy, a deep feeling of aversion. Combined with his intuition and perception, it filters POK's senses to only detect the things that he can criticize. That's how I think it works. It makes sense to me, but hey, it's a theory. You got a better one? Hisses happen when they happen. Pissed Off Kid can sometimes feel an incoming hiss, but he has no control over it. Rage most commonly expresses itself verbally, but it can also be somatic, making him pace around nervously or flail his limbs left, right, and center, and on rare occasions destroy personal or public property. When it comes to living things, so far I have not found any mentions of physical violence. What is interesting, though, is that throughout the hiss, POK is completely conscious of his actions. He is aware of his improper behavior. A paradox occurs where, on the one hand, he cannot control his fury, but on the other, he's choosing how to channel it. In a way, rage is a foreign element in POK, but it is also a vital one. A hiss can last minutes, hours, and even days. There's no diagram for how it ends. The resentful ravings go on, and at some point the whole thing makes a crescendo, during which the most horrid and destructive thoughts are poured out of POK. Archetypal in a twisted way, these final utterances are very powerful concepts, like epiphanies about things that you never wanted to know. Once these words are out, the rage begins to desist. His body, strained from the whole process, returns to a consistent temperature, and Warpaint retreats. His mind, drained by the climax, gently comes back to default mode, and his eyes return to their original state. And that's how it ends, with Pissed Off Kid coming face to face with the aftermath of his deeds. POK's condition comes hand in hand with heavy consequences when it comes to his personal and social existence. As much as he would like for rage to erupt when he's all by himself, usually it gets triggered when he's around others. The effect of his words can and has been detrimental. Friendships lost, reputation damaged, and guilt carried. The good news is that hisses are rare. I've only found 7 separate cases of rage in the Weird Archives, and POK has mentioned having had between 35 and 40 rage episodes altogether, with the longest one lasting 11 days. There is no known cure for rage. There's a handful of methods that can make it more manageable, and some extremely unique circumstances under which rage can be neutralized. But this is a whole other subject, and it's an important one, and I'm just not ready to share it with you yet. In POK's words, rage is a bitch. He didn't choose it, and he cannot remember a life without it. However, he does attribute some good to rage. The idea of weird came to him in a rage dream, as well as his ship's name. Nevertheless, it is something that torments him, and his hope is to one day be able to tame rage. Because this is not what he is. This is what he was forced to become. I will end this episode with an excerpt from the Weird Archives, where Pissed Off Kid attempts to describe how it is to be under the rule of rage. I think you'll relate to some of these words. I know that I do. What follows is reproduced verbatim. It's pain, unfairness, it's cosmic disapproval. The world speaks a direction, its direction. I grab it. I take the direction in my hands and I put it in my mouth. I start chewing. I do not eat. I feast. I revel in tasting whatever the fuck the world dictates. What once tasted genuine now feels foreign. My teeth are skyscrapers. My tongue is the fire that burns them. My saliva, a chemical irritant. It accumulates. Arson in my head. Chemical warfare. The promise of the end. The direction changes in my mouth. It turns the other way. I feel it trying to push itself down my throat. I hear it weep, and a smile forms inside me. A smile you will never see, reversed beyond recovery. That's when I know it's time I spewed the thing that is now nothing but improvised despair in the shape of speech. My lips open the gate, and word comes out. My word, the death of hope. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next episode. And as always, long may you live, and long live the kid. See you in Weird.